Good evening. This, the 52nd meeting of the 72nd term of the Baltimore City Council is now called to order. Please turn off all cell phones or put them on vibrate. Tonight's invocation will be provided by Reverend Ronald Owens of World Church Ministries. And after the invocation, we will remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Reverend.
May the God of peace, purpose, and power, may he grant you shalom. As you govern those who are weak, may you strengthen those who are downtrodden. May you be governed by your conscience and not the immediate action of the day. May God strengthen your heart to do the right thing. May he encourage your mind to do the best thing. May you understand that you work for others and not for yourselves. May you be encouraged to govern and be the stewards of our finances, to lift those who are weak. May God strengthen and guide the president of this chambers. May his wisdom always be upon him. May his grace be before him. May he have the skill and the wisdom to navigate the narrow roads of leadership. We pray, oh God, for our city that is in crisis. We ask that you would make a difference on every corner and in every neighborhood. We ask that you would bring peace to this city, cause gun violence to stop, cause hungry children to be fed, cause broken schools to be repaired, cause police corruption to end. I pray, oh God, that you expand the economic opportunities of this council, that they look within to find ways to help those who are without. It is because you are God, and in the name of the one of the Holy Ghost, the people who believe said amen.
Amen. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend Owen? Absolutely. Thank you for being here. The clerk will call the roll of the members.
President Young, Cohen, Scott, Henry, Schleifer, Middleton, Pinkett, Burnett, Bullock, Reisinger, Costello, Stokes, Sneed. Mr. President, we have a quorum. Clark, Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight's Showcase Baltimore presentation will be provided by Kimberly Sheridan on behalf of the Million Gun Victims March. Welcome.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Council President Young and all council members here tonight for the honor of coming to speak to you about the Million Gun Victims March. And if you have a few minutes afterwards, you can go into the Reeves Room and see a small selection from this art show. My name is Kimberly Sheridan. I am a self-taught artist. I live in Pigtown and have since 1984. I did not pick up a brush until I was 30 years old. Over the next 20 years, I enjoyed taking part in festivals and little group shows while honing my craft. Then the Newtown Massacre happened. 4 months later, Congress did nothing. My reaction was one of emotional, volcanic, furious rage. What can a self-taught painter from Pigtown do? All the arguments and the statistics and the marches for basic federal gun safety seem to meet with but limited success. What can statistics tell us about the lives of these flesh and blood individuals? What can they tell us about their hopes and dreams? In fact, who are they? But what if I started painting the portraits of gun victims that we lose right here in the city of Baltimore? Not just simply the faces of the forgotten and the ignored, but to symbolize their hopes and dreams through the medium of art to show why each individual life mattered. And what happens if I could bring them together in the same space, face to face, in the same space. In 6 years, I have 176 completed portraits. They range across the spectrum in age, background, and why they were shot. I paint portraits of people on both sides of the law because the bullet doesn't care for that distinction. All are to be painted with equal compassion. But some groups are larger than others. Almost 2/3 of my oeuvre, or body of work, consists of black males. From day one, however, I knew the original portraits were never meant to remain with me. Who am I? A total stranger. What am I doing? Taking the liberty of looking up all these cases online and looking at online photographs from sites like Stephen Tarzia's gunmemorial.org, and then daring to paint their portrait, someone I never knew, of their flesh and blood, whom they still heartrendingly mourn over. The Million Gun Victims March Incorporated was founded in June of 2017. Its sole purpose is to deliver each original to the arms of those left behind. Not only is each meant as a gift monument personally, but also the freedom to use these images for reproductions in fundraisers of their own without hindrance from me. It becomes their work. It always is their paintings. No mere image, especially an amateur one, can replace a loved one, but as a tool to transform grief from helplessness to determination, that is the mission of the Million Gun Victims March. I work closely with such groups and businesses as the Family Survivor Network, Full Circle Art Printing, who produces the master prints that remain with me, Baltimore Cease Fire, Ripped Canvas Tattoo Parlor and Social Club, who've helped me out with mini shows, and very recently, Our Victorious City, whose founder, Victory Swift, received the portrait of her son, Victorious Swift, on February the 16th, 9 days ago. One project I desire to complete this year is the Oak Creek Temple Journey. Though I mainly portray Baltimoreans, when an out-of-state atrocity like the Sikh Temple Massacre outside Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 2012 racks my emotions to the core, I have to paint them too. I must paint them. Pardeep Singh Kaleka, son of slain temple head Satwat Singh Kaleka, is not only a co-author of a book called The Gift of Our Wounds, but is the co-founder of a Wisconsin nonprofit called Serve to Unite. As a group portrait, it would be gifted to Serve to Unite. What I wish I could do is hire 6 other artists to paint a single portrait of each temple member. I wish we could all go to Oak Creek in early August as a 7-artist contingent to observe the 7th anniversary of this tragic event, where each could hand over their single portrait to the corresponding family. My challenge, although being a lone explorer gave me the room to think up projects like these, I lack many of the social networks more mainstream channels provide. Finally, the long-term dream is this. If dozens of artists could contribute to this cause, hundreds of portraits could reach thousands. Artists in other cities and states could be inspired to create similar projects. If thousands of artists all across the country undertook this, could be the biggest social activist art crusade known in American history. Baltimore, here, holds the spark that can set that off. At the age of nearly 59, I myself might not live long enough to see this, but whatever twists and turns this dream takes, we could see a love tapestry to America, honoring through symbols the lives of 1 million Americans, spanning the range of diversity, with this one thing in common: their death by gun. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is the council custom to journalize the invocation? Ask for a motion to journalize the prayer. Motion by Councilman Henry, second by Councilman Scott. All those in favor of journalize the invocation say aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. We now proceed with the adoption of the journal.
Mr. President, the journal of the proceedings from the February 11th City Council meeting is on council members' desks.
That motion to approve the journal. Motion by Councilman Pinkett, second by Councilman Costello. All those in favor of adopting the journal say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried and the journal is adopted. Executive nomination withdrawn.
EA 19-0236, David C. Ryer, Director, Baltimore City Department of Planning, District 3.
Executive nomination.
EA 19-0239, David C. Ryer, Director, Baltimore City Department of Planning, District 3.
This has been assigned to the Executive Appointments Committee. Bills will be introduced.
City Council Bill 19-0341, Franchise, Baltimore Region Rapid Transit System, Sections A and C. For the purpose of granting a franchise to the Maryland Transit Administration, formerly known as the Mass Transit Administration of the Department of Transportation of the State of Maryland, to use and maintain the existing Baltimore Region Rapid Transit System, Sections A and C, located within the boundaries of the City of Baltimore, as shown on the documents entitled Baltimore Region Rapid Transit System, Phase 1, Section A, Route Map, dated September 1976 and filed in the Department of Public Works on October 1st, 1976, and Baltimore Region Rapid Transit System Section C Route Map, dated April 1st, 1988, and filed in the Department of Public Works on April 15th, 1988, subject to certain terms, conditions, and reservations, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors, City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Land Use and Transportation Committee.
City Council Bill 19-0342, Franchise Central Light Rail. For the purpose of granting a franchise to the Maryland Transit Administration, formerly known as the Mass Transit Administration of the Department of Transportation of the State of Maryland, to use and maintain the existing Central Light Rail system located within the boundaries of the City of Baltimore in accordance with a plat prepared by the Mass Transit Administration of the Department of Transportation of the State of Maryland, dated May 9th, 1990, and filed in the Office of the Department of Transportation of Baltimore City, subject to certain terms, conditions, and reservations, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors, City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Land Use and Transportation Committee.
City Council Bill 19-0343, Minority and Women's Business Program, Interim Extension. For the purpose of postponing for an interim period the automatic termination of the Minority and Women's Business Program, providing for a special effective date and generally relating to city procurement requirements. Sponsors, City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee.
City Council Bill 19-0344, Licensing of Rental Dwellings. For the purpose of requiring the Housing Commissioner to provide certain alternative methods for applying for a new or renewal rental dwelling license, amending the requirements for a renewal license inspection to accept a dwelling unit in a one or two family dwelling under certain conditions, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors, Henry, Bullock, Burnett, Cohen.
This has been assigned to the Judiciary and Legislative Investigation Committee.
City Council Bill 19-0345, rezoning 1401 Woodall Street and 1446 Stevenson Street. For the purpose of changing the zoning for the property known as 1401 Woodall Street, as outlined in red on the accompanying plat, from the C2 zoning district to the TOD3 zoning district, and for the property known as 1446 Stevenson Street, as outlined in red on the accompanying plat, from the I1 zoning district to the TOD3 zoning district. Sponsors, Costello.
This has been assigned to the Land Use and Transportation Committee. A resolution to be introduced.
City Council Resolution 19-0139R, Investigative Hearing, Municipal Composting. For the purpose of inviting the Director of the Department of Public Works, the Head of the Bureau of Solid Waste, the Director of the Office of Sustainability, the Coordinator of the Office of Sustainability, and the City Arborist to update the City Council on the city's progress toward creating a municipal composting program, to provide a fiscal impact statement on creating the program, and to estimate a timeline for citywide implementation of municipal composting. Sponsors, Henry, Bullock, Burnett, Cohen, Pinkett, President Young, Scott.
Please note that Councilman Visinger, Councilwoman Clark, Councilman Stokes, Councilwoman Sneed, Council Vice President Middleton as co-sponsor. Chair recognizes Councilman Henry.
Mr. President, in the wake of the Council's passage of the Clean Air Act that has focused greater attention, shall we say, on how the city deals with its solid waste, I thought it timely for us to ask these agencies to come in and talk about what we have been talking about for a number of years, the idea of municipal composting and making composting something easier and more available for more people to use. And I understand, since one of my colleagues is also looking for a similar report on the status of, I'm sorry, Councilman Stokes? I'm sorry. I got confused over who had made the original request for that hearing, but my understanding is that the committee chair is going to look to combine both hearings and hold them at the same time, and we can have a very in-depth discussion on how we are finding better ways for dealing with our trash than simply burning it. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been assigned to the Judiciary and Legislative Investigation Committee. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Clark.
Are we on the compost or are we on the next
On
resolution?
the next resolution, we just did compost. Huh? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Hold up, Councilwoman. I'm moving real quick.
City Council Resolution 19-0140R, request for state action and rem foreclosure and sale for vacant and abandoned properties. For the purpose of calling upon the General Assembly to pass and the governor to sign legislation that would allow Baltimore City and other local jurisdictions to pursue and rem foreclosures against certain abandoned and vacant properties. Sponsors Clark, Henry, Bullock, Burnett, President Young, Scott.
Please note, Councilman Stokes is co-sponsor. Chair recognize Councilwoman Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Every year in Baltimore, a lot of vacant properties go into tax sale and never come out. They go around and around and around because no one bids them to buy them and fix them, because all the liens against them are higher than the value of what are blighted vacant houses. So this is a resolution. I'm asking for immediate confirmation and acceptance that supports state legislation that would allow Baltimore City to foreclose on tax sale properties as soon as 6 months of owing money have passed, so that we could avoid years of watching them deteriorate and going round and around with never being bid or bought or touched. It's ridiculous. And so in rem it just means that the city would have the authority through the state to foreclose, and then we would hope to sell or transfer without cost for redevelopment, instead of just sitting there rotting while we wonder what's going on anyway about these houses. Move to suspend the rules to permit immediate adoption.
Second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor of suspending rules for immediate adoption, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carried. Chairs recognize Councilwoman Clark.
Move approval of the resolution.
Second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor of adopting resolution 19-0140R, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. This resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
City Council Resolution 19-0141R, creation of Pennsylvania Avenue Black Arts and Entertainment District. For the purpose of designating the Pennsylvania Avenue corridor and surrounding communities within defined boundaries as the Pennsylvania Avenue Black Arts and Entertainment District. Sponsors Pinkett, Costello, Henry, Bullock, Burnett, Cohen, Schleifer, President Young, Scott.
Please note that Councilwoman Clark, Councilman Stokes, Councilwoman Sneed, Councilman Rising as co-sponsors, Councilwoman Middleton. Chair recognizes Councilman Pinkett.
Thank you, Mr. President. In 2016, the Urban Land Institute, with the city and a collection of Pennsylvania Avenue stakeholders, developed a report providing recommendations on strategies to redevelop Pennsylvania Avenue. A key component of that strategy is the creation of an arts and entertainment district to serve Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm introducing this resolution on behalf of the coalition that's been assembled, and some of them are here today, to advance this effort. This resolution is a critical piece of what we hope to be a successful application for Arts and Entertainment District. This Black Arts and Entertainment District would I believe, be the only one in the nation that's specifically focused on African American arts and entertainment. And so, thank you for.
Thank you. This has been assigned to the Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee. Chair recognizes Councilman Costello. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You have to read it first.
Or in reference to the previous resolution, Councilman Pinkett, hit on all the salient notes. We share that corridor. I'm very excited about it and look forward to a productive hearing on it. And hopefully we will have the first Black Arts and Entertainment District in the city right in Central West Baltimore.
City Council Resolution 19-0142R, request for state action, support the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra's world-class status. For the purpose of urging the Maryland General Assembly to restore the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra's pre-recession funding levels in order to allow the management and board of the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra to devise a more viable path to ensure the orchestra's financial and artistic success, ensuring that it remains a vital cultural and artistic asset for generations to come. Sponsors Costello, Henry, Bullock, Burnett, Pinkett, President Young, Scott.
Please note that Councilman Schleifer, Councilman Reisinger, Councilman Stokes, Councilwoman Clark, and Councilwoman Sneed, and Council Vice President Middleton as co-sponsors. Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you and my colleagues know very well, I very rarely introduce resolutions calling on state action. This is only my second one in 4.5 years, but this issue is just too important to not. The Baltimore Symphony Orchestra was originally established as a branch of Baltimore city government in the 19-teens. They hold over 130 concerts annually. They have won several awards, including a number of Grammy Awards. They're the largest and most prominent artistic organization in the state of Maryland, and they truly are a world-class status symphony, something that provides a great amenity for our residents in Baltimore City, as well as being a prime economic development driver for our city. This resolution calls on our colleagues at the state level to provide additional funding to support their operations. And at this time, Mr. President, I'd like to suspend the rules to move for immediate adoption.
Second by Councilman Stokes. All those in favor of suspending the rules for immediate adoption of this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. The rules are suspended. Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of the resolution.
Second by Councilman Stokes. All those in favor of adopting resolution 19-0142R, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried and this resolution is adopted. You can find the consent calendar in Section A at the back of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Motion by Councilman Scott, second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. This calendar is approved. We will now move the bills on second reader. Land Use and Transportation Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0314, repeal of Ordinance 87-1171, the Wyman Park Medical Center Joint Use Facility with the Johns Hopkins University Plant Unit Development. For the purpose of repealing Ordinance 87-1171, which designated certain property as a residential plant unit development known as the Wyman Park Medical Center Joint Use Facility with the Johns Hopkins University, and providing for a special effective date.
Chair recognizes Councilman Reisinger.
Mr. President, I move the bill favorable.
Second by Councilwoman Clark. All those in favor of adopting this bill say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion to approve this bill moves to third reader. Committee announcements. Chair recognizes Councilman Stokes. Any committee announcements on that side? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Executive Appointments Committee will be holding a hearing on Wednesday, March the 13th, 2019, beginning at 10 a.m. to review the following nominee. Baltimore City Department of Planning, David C. Ryer, Director.
Chair recognizes Councilman Costello. Then you, Councilman Reisinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to suspend rules 10.2 and 10.3 to announce a hearing.
Second by Councilman Bullock. All those in favor to suspend the rules and announce the hearing say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. You may announce your hearing.
Thank you, Mr. President. Judiciary and Legislative Investigations Committee will hold a hearing on Tuesday, March 5th at 10:25 a.m. Bill number 19-0344, licensing of rental dwellings at the request of Councilman Henry. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Councilman Reisinger.
Mr. President, members of the council, the Land Use and Transportation Committee will hold a hearing on Bill 17-0149 Wednesday, March the 6th at 1:05 p.m. in the council chambers. This is a rezoning of 1401 Woodall and 1446 Stevenson Street. The committee will hold a hearing on Bill 17-0074 on March the 13th at 1 p.m. in the council chambers. This is a zoning, conditional use parking, open off-street area located at 3023 Virginia Avenue. The committee will hold a hearing on Bill 18-0287 on March the 13th at 1:05 p.m. In the council chambers. This is zoning. It's a conditional use conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to a 3-dwelling unit in the R8 zoning district. Variances located at 1235 West Lafayette Avenue. The Land Use and Transportation Committee will hold a hearing on Bill 19-345 on Wednesday, April 3rd at 1:10 p.m. in the council chambers. Mr. President, I move for suspension of rules 10-2 and 10-3.
Second by Councilman Burnett. All those in favor of suspending the rules, Nelson Henry, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. You may announce your hearing.
Yeah, this is a rezoning at 1401 Woodall Street and 1446 Stevenson Street. The committee will hold a hearing on Bill 19-0321 Wednesday, April the 10th, 1 o'clock in the council chambers. This is zoning modifications to approve final development plans. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Committee announcement. Chair recognizes Councilman Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Education and Youth Committee and the Public Safety Committee will hold a joint hearing on Thursday, April 4th at 4 p.m. in the chambers. This is a legislative oversight hearing, Youth Voices, Youth Violence, for the purpose of discussing a comprehensive approach for addressing youth violence in the city and how city agencies and our schools can utilize their resources to better prevent and respond to incidents of youth violence. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Regular announcements. I'll make the first ones. Chair recognizes Councilman Slifer. I'll go second.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to request a moment of silence for a Baltimore City fighter, Andrew Douglas, who passed away suddenly. Thank you.
Okay. I would like to formally announce that the mayor's state of the city is scheduled to take place on Monday, March the 11th at 2:30 p.m. here in the Du Burns Council Chambers. Asking all council members to make sure that you're here and in your seats. Also, I want to wish a happy birthday to Councilman Burnett, whose birthday was on February the 15th. Let's give him a hand. Now we need the city council choir to sing happy birthday. Y'all ready? Okay. And also want to wish Mayor Pugh a happy birthday. Her birthday will be on March the 10th. We won't be here in council chambers, so I want to wish the mayor a happy birthday as well. Chair recognizes Councilman Burnett. Don't get mad.
I'm gonna sing to myself. So y'all won't sing to me. No, I was asked to make the announcement that DPW will be hosting a waste reduction focus group. It's a series of them, but the first one's in my district this Thursday at 6:30 at Edmondson Westside High School in the cafeteria. It's a district-wide meeting, so please push your constituents to come out and give their input on ways that we can reduce trash and increase recycling and other ways to get towards zero waste in Baltimore City.
Thank you. Committee announcements. Chair recognizes Councilman Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Regular announcements?
Yeah.
Okay. So I rise for a couple points. The first one being that if the mayor's birthday is March 10th, and she will be here in the chambers on March 11th for the State of the City, I think that would be a fine opportunity for the City Council choir to finally make its debut. The second point I wanted to raise is I have a district-wide meeting tomorrow on all things water. For all residents of the 4th District and anyone who is interested, we will be having this meeting. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Program starts at 6:30 at Leithwalk Elementary and Middle School. We will have Delegate Nick Mosby presenting on state legislation for eliminating water bills as a reason for properties to go to tax sale. The Council President's Office, represented by Michael Huber, will be presenting on the income-based water billing legislation, and Director Rudy Chow of the Department of Public Works will be presenting on a myriad of programs that the Department of Public Works is already in the middle of doing and would like to do, and will be taking questions on any and all of the above. The third point I would like to raise is some of you are aware of an organization called Local Progress. It is a national network of progressive municipal officials. It focuses on sustainable communities, affordable housing, immigrants' rights, and economic justice for all. It was founded in 2012. It started out as a group of just a dozen or so elected officials from various cities across the country. It has grown now to a towering behemoth of over 900 representatives from across the country. But today I rise to congratulate one of our own, Councilman Christopher Burnett, who last month was elected to their National Board of Directors.
Good job.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Good job. Chair recognizes Councilman Scott. Any more committee announcements? Then right after him is Councilman Pinkett. Then you will have the final.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, members of the council, I rise to ask that Councilwoman Vice President Sharon Milton honor a moment of silence for the now 41 victims of homicide this year in Baltimore City and all of those that we've lost to the continuing opioid crisis as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Pinkett.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also ask for a moment of silence for Baltimore icon Ethel Ennis. She was a resident of the 7th District, lived in the greater Mondawmin community, passed away last week at the age of 86, was known as the First Lady of Jazz. Tremendous asset and treasure to our city, and I ask that we would recognize her this evening. And then also tomorrow at 6 p.m., myself and Councilman Costello have partnered with Bishop Madden of the Archdiocese to have a prayer walk and vigil in front of St. Peter Claver Church, that's 1546 Fremont Avenue. And so we're asking all to come out and just stand in solidarity as it relates to safety and peace in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Vice President Middleton. Oh, before we recognize you, because you have announcements, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we want to have a moment of silence for Uncle Charles Earl Matthews.
Okay, thank you.
I
My one announcement is that we, for those that are interested, we are going to have a bus leaving from Park Heights on Friday at 1 p.m. We will be giving testimony in the House Committee for saving the Preakness and Pimlico. So again, if you're interested in giving testimony or participating in the rally, testimony starts at 1 p.m. this Friday, March 1st. The next meeting?
Lester Davis is from our office will be filling in for me because I'll be out of town.
Okay.
So just want to let you know. Chair recognizes Vice President Middleton.
Thank you. The next meeting of the City Council will be held on Monday, March 11th, 2019 at 5 p.m. We will have a moment of silence for my uncle, Charles Matthews. He was 94 years old, lived a wonderful, long life, and his funeral was today. So a moment of silence for my uncle and family. Also, Ethel Ennis, the Reverend Dr. Ernest Sewell, and Mr. Andrew Douglas.
Thank you. There being no further business, this concludes the 52nd meeting of the 72nd term of the Baltimore City Council. Good night.